had partnered with an organization that gave us all the cleaning supplies we needed. 4 people. We did the best we could, and we got some things clean. But in that 2-hour time, we barely finished 3 blocks, and needless to say, I was disappointed. Fast forward 6 months after George Floyd's death at the hands of the police. Protests had begun all over the country, and my friend Brandy, an Air Force veteran, and I decided that we should join the front lines of the protests because we noticed in the news coverage that there were a lot of young people, but we weren't seeing our age, Gen X, out in the street. We're both mothers, so we know what that energy is. And we felt like it would be easy for things to get derailed out there with all those young people, the anger, and the media. We knew the way most of us are raised in the African American community. People are less likely to make destructive decisions in front of someone like an aunt, an uncle, or someone their parents' age. The first night we went out, we noticed strategically placed bricks that everybody was talking about. Images of piles of bricks at the sites of protests across the country had been posted on social media, from a suburb of Minneapolis to Tacoma, Washington, and San Francisco. Fact checkers later claimed these were left by construction crews for building in the area, and it was dismissed as a conspiracy theory. We saw a young man pick up a brick, and I just walked over to him and tapped him on his arm. He put the brick down. We were right in thinking that while most young people were out there for a good reason, with no aunties and uncles on the street, young anger was going to be the driving force to determine what happened. So Brandy and I decided to be the aunties at the front line who made it less likely a brick would get thrown or that there would be property damage. We made it our business to be at the protest as our way of protecting the kids from their wilder instincts. I'm an activist. I've spent a lot of time protesting. I marched with John Lewis right after the killing of Mike Brown. I marched with the Justice for Georgia mothers, particularly one mother I'm very close to, Monteria Robinson, after her son Jamarian Robinson was killed. So showing up for the issues that matter wasn't new for me. After a few days of being on the front lines that June, a filmmaker named David Jones asked me to do some man-on-the-street interviews with him for his documentary. He had been at the protest, but in different places than I was. On this day, there was a protest planned for later, but we went out early to do our man-on-the-street interviews because people were outside ahead of time setting up signs. There was one young woman who was making a beautiful flower art installation in honor of George Floyd and what was happening in the civil unrest, so we interviewed her. We were in downtown Atlanta, and we started at a corner where the CNN Center is located. The College Football Hall of Fame is on the opposite corner, and there are a lot of high-end restaurants in the area. I noticed a bunch of middle-aged Black people, aunties and uncles I had not seen in the street, except for Brandy and me, cleaning up. When I asked them who gave them the cleaning materials, they told me they bought them out of pocket. They had supplies to remove the graffiti and were sweeping up glass and boarding up broken windows. When I asked if they lived in downtown, most said no. They had seen that downtown and Buckhead, another upscale neighborhood, had been damaged, and they had taken it upon themselves to clean up. Historically, when there's civil unrest, the destruction happens in the communities where people live. In response to George Floyd's death, people had taken their anger downtown where protests had been coordinated. There had been looting and rioting, and these Black aunties and uncles had decided it was their job to clean up property they did not own. When I asked them why, one person told me, "This is not the way we handle things." A woman added, "I don't want them to think we're all like this." Them, meaning white people. You can see why I would be upset.